Watch this.
It's been 10 years since the U.S. Supreme Court recognized marriage for everyone, regardless of sex, is a constitutional right. Today, couples tell us about the change they've seen in the last decade and how the right goes deeper than the ceremony. Over the border in Oregon, there's a rodeo that's more than barrel racing and roping. It's about recognizing the history that's often forgotten in the great American West and remembering the legacy of black cowboys. Another professional sports team is coming to the Treasure Valley. But what do we call them? And what colors will they wear? Well, we're just hours away from the official announcement by Boise Pro Soccer. Back in 2015, the Supreme Court changed the course of history in America, making same-sex marriage legal across the entire country. While many say same-sex marriage is not a political issue, it started out as one for sure. For many couples, the journey to the altar has always meant something far deeper than just the ceremony, though. In today's Beyond the 208, we're going to head up to Washington to meet two couples. One has been married for more than a decade. The other hopes to be. Here's Sharon Yu with our sister station in Seattle.
Last name Minger, M-I-N-G-E-R.
Andy Bleha and Sprague Minger don't have much time.
Fantastic. Okay, cool.
With their wedding day fast approaching,
Fingers crossed for mom and dad next week.
Sprague has yet to tell his parents.
I did tell them I was engaged, and they didn't reject me. It's been difficult for them as older people to accept that their son is gay, a little bit, I think. They would say no, but you know.
What they don't know is that Sprague and Andy are already married.
You may kiss your husband.
We just had a lovely ceremony right here in our living room.
Part practical,
Health insurance and taxes and selling houses.
part political.
The election kind of tipped the scale for sure on that.
The thing that made me go, oh, like, was the whole thing with Roe v. Wade. The part of women's rights we thought was locked solid. I kind of look at what happened, just very recently and go, okay, I feel like we made the right move at the time that we needed to.
A piece of paper that binds them together may now protect them.
And then this is us with the actual marriage license.
It's what husbands Paul Beppler and Terry Gilbert fought for.
3, 2, 1. Happy Marriage Equality Day!
In 2012, Washington's marriage equality law was ultimately upheld by a voter-approved referendum, making it one of 3 states where voters directly weighed in, along with Maine and Maryland. Paul and Terry were one of the first couples to be married legally at City Hall in 2012.
The offices opened at midnight, so there were lines. There were a lot of people. There were reporters there, so it was
an event.
Everybody was just so excited. It means so much to a lot of people.
This eventually paved the way for federal legalization in 2015, allowing same-sex couples to enjoy the over 1,100 federal benefits and responsibilities that come with being officially married.
There are things in the tax code. There are things in inheritance. There are things in medical systems.
Public support for same-sex marriage has more than doubled over the past 2 decades, from 31% support in 2004 to 55% in 2015, and now around 67% approval. Wedding planner Cindy Savage says she sees the difference.
In 2015, most of my queer clients did not have parents in attendance. Most of them did not have family in attendance. And that's for exactly the reason you think. It's because they're homophobic. But what I've noticed in the last 10 years is that more and more we have not only parents attending, but parents attending very enthusiastically.
That's the hope for the newlyweds come October.
Show my appreciation to all of the people that were there to support me and love me through all the times that I had in my life. And so it's a celebration for us, but I get to celebrate with everyone that I love.
10 years after love won, it's still something worth fighting for.
Well, the Trump administration has not said anything yet about repealing same-sex marriage. Far-right campaigns in different states, though, are rallying support to try to overturn it. For example, in Michigan, a lawmaker introduced a resolution condemning Obergefell versus Hodges. And here in Idaho, this past legislative session, there was a resolution asking the Supreme Court to overturn that decision. It passed the House, but it died in a Senate committee. Well, summer is the season of rodeos. In fact, the Snake River Stampede just wrapped up last weekend. Treasure Valley Rodeo begins today, and the Caldwell Night Rodeo, that's coming up in August. But over in Oregon, there's a unique rodeo where it's about more than just the 10-gallon hats and the spurs. This one is dedicated to reclaiming the legacy of black cowboys. Catherine Cook with our sister station in Portland takes us there.
On this Sunday in June, they wore all of it well.
We're gonna have a good time.
The buckles and the fringe.
We're very excited to experience this.
The boots and the hats.
Here definitely for the rodeo. This is our second year here.
A fusion of Western culture.
I've never been to a rodeo before.
The black rodeo.
That's on the fringe.
Black cowboys.
No more.
And I never seen something like this before.
Yeah.
Neither had Ivan McClellan.
I'd always been a fan of rodeo. I'd always been a fan of Westerns, but when I saw black folks doing it, it really just like welcomed me into that world.
I know, come on, come on.
That was 10 years ago at a black rodeo in Oklahoma.
Tighten up your cinch, shouldn't they?
For Ivan, it was art in motion.
Come. We're good.
And riding 50 miles an hour around the barrels with acrylic nails clutching the reins and braids blowing behind them.
As an artist, he wanted to capture it with his camera.
And it's just beautiful energy, the shape of someone's hat, the crease in a person's jeans.
We're going left.
Ivan started going to black rodeos across the country, dozens of them, photographing these special moments
Molly.
along the way.
There we go.
Enough to fill a coffee table book and eventually an exhibit at the Portland Art Museum. He also built friendships and respect for the athlete's toil.
It's a tough sport.
And trials.
You're going to struggle no matter what. But I noticed that there were hardly any black athletes competing at the top level.
It drove him to harness that world.
They've got a hoof print on their heart. Charles, look right here. They're going to do it no matter what.
And bring it to Portland.
I'm so glad the rodeo is here.
And I wanted to create a place where black folks can explore the West and be comfortable and get a good payday.
That place is the 8 Seconds Rodeo.
I went to acting school, so little did I know that I was going to be a rodeo boss in my 40s, but Cherise, you ready?
When you watch him at work, it's clear.
I'm in.
Ivan.
I'm in. We're good.
Was born.
Yeah, let's go now.
To be a boss.
What's going on? All right, announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've been waiting for.
On this, the 3rd annual 8 Seconds Rodeo, it's a packed house, even backstage.
Incredible, electric. I had never been to the rodeo except for 2 years ago. And now, when this is coming, I can't miss it. I gotta be here for the 8-second rodeo.
We got Brooklyn in the house.
8 seconds. That's how long athletes have to stay mounted on rough stock, like bucking horses and bulls, to make a qualified ride. While the crowd enjoys the show,
green wristbands can come in.
Ivan and co-producer Charles Suddeth,
Charles is my right-hand man,
are moving non-stop.
Charles, go to Sportsman. Dante.
Ivan snaps photos whenever he can.
It's controlled chaos.
But it's tough. This year's rodeo is 4 times bigger than their first one.
We never knew it would have been this big when we first started. We were just trying to put it together.
As Charles explains it, black cowboys hold a significant place in Western history.
A quarter of cowboys in the traditional West were black, right?
You won't always read about that in textbooks. But with each ride, these cowboys are reclaiming and honoring that heritage.
Being able to bring something like this to the community has been huge, something that we're hoping could be a legacy and something that's lasting and really helping improve relations in any way, shape, and form.
Malachi!
For Ivan, it's about the most personal, unexpected moments, like the time a cowboy taught rodeo guests how to swing a lasso.
An old black woman, she was in her 80s, came up to me after the first year and said, I always thought of a rope as a weapon, and now I look at it as a tool. And just like that transformation, that connection that she had to the West in that moment was a huge reward for me.
How do you spell his name?
M.
Speaking of rewards,
A.
winning Cowboys like Malachi Anderson of Texas,
Malachi Anderson, ladies and gentlemen,
earned $6,000 for not getting bucked off.
Malachi came to Portland with $100 in his bank account because he said, I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to win this money.
Yes, they wore all of it well, including victory.
Thank you, Ivan. I appreciate it. Yeah.
The sweat of their brow.
We going to get my camera out of the office?
The pride in their work.
All of it is just infinitely fascinating for me. Thank you.
The passion for their craft.
As a photographer, you're constantly rewarded.
This is not their first rodeo.
Good job, brother.
And it won't be their last.
That was a gritty ride.
In North Portland.
It's magical.
Catherine Cook.
It's absolutely beautiful.
KGW News.
Pocatello family is suing the city after police shot and killed their 17-year-old boy. And with new Idaho laws set to take effect next week, a doctor says one of those new laws will prevent patients from receiving life-saving care. Abby Davis has details in today's 411.
The family of a boy shot and killed by police is suing the city of Pocatello. 17-year-old Victor Perez died days after police say 4 Pocatello officers shot him in his front yard. Perez's family says it was all a misunderstanding during a family barbecue. He was nonverbal, autistic, and had cerebral palsy. Perez died after being taken off life support. The lawsuit was filed on behalf of Luis Alicea, Victor's grandfather, who Victor lived with, and his mother, Wanda. It follows a wrongful death claim also filed by Luis that alleges officers used excessive force against Perez. The family is asking for a jury trial. Idaho doctors and 4 undocumented patients are suing the state. A federal lawsuit claims a new Idaho law will illegally cut off life-saving HIV medications from immigrants who are legally entitled to them under federal programs. House Bill 135 is set to go into effect July 1st. The bill requires people to prove they are in the country legally before accessing certain public benefits, including the federal Ryan White program that provides free HIV drugs to low-income patients. At Full Circle Health in Boise alone, more than 60 HIV patients would lose access to their medications on the 1st. The court may decide as early as Monday whether to grant a temporary restraining order on the law. Today, we caught up with the woman who won the truck in the St. Jude Dream Home giveaway. Debbie Gannon says she did not realize she had won until she checked the list of winning names after the live drawing. Gannon has been entering the St. Jude Dream Home giveaway for about 10 years.
I never figured that I'm going to win anything, and this is the most amazing thing I've ever won in my life. I had no thoughts on that at all, so it's just a good cause for the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So This is all the bonus, and a wonderful bonus. This is amazing.
Gannon plans to take her new ride onto mountain roads to go fishing. Ford, Idaho donated the truck. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Abby Davis. As we enter the last few days of June, we have a hot weekend ahead of us. It's going to be dry this weekend, and we also have breezy conditions that will kind of pick up and come and go over the next couple of days. But looking at next week, we will see temperatures either in the 90s or possibly triple digits. But we're also looking at a chance of storms occurring. So that is a cause for concern of fires, because if lightning strikes and our ground is really dry, plus winds, that is not a good mix for wildfires spreading and spreading quickly. Right now, 85 degrees outside in Boise, a little bit of clouds hovering over the mountain ranges so far, but pretty warm area wide, although rather seasonable today. Mid 80s in the Magic Valley, 80s throughout the Treasure Valley, Mountain Home in Ontario, almost at 90, 89 degrees right now. And then the mountains pretty much all in the 70s right now. It's going to be a pretty mild evening. There could be a little bit more cloud development in the valleys as well. We're still looking at a sunset of 9:30 p.m. We're going to see those 9:30 sunsets through the end of June. July 1st is when those sunsets start getting a little bit earlier. Now, our days have been getting shorter since summer solstice, but it was our sunrises that are starting to get a little bit later day by day at this point. Overall, going to be a pretty warm evening, 80 degrees all the way through 10 p.m. Tomorrow morning, another seasonable morning, upper 50s, low 60s in the valleys, and then the mountains in the 40s or 50s. Again, a warm day, but nothing too abnormal. Mid 80s again in the Magic Valley, while the 80s stick around in the Treasure Valley mountains. For the most part in the 70s, some mountain valleys could get a little warmer tomorrow, because we do have a ridge of high pressure that will start to build into the region come Sunday. So that's when we really see those temperatures increase. We're looking at 90s by Sunday. Lots of sunshine still on our plate. Monday, though, that ridge continues to intensify, and that's when we're getting the upper 90s, possibly triple digits starting Tuesday. Monday all the way through Friday, which is 4th of July, is the chances for storms that we're looking at. So if those storms do occur in the afternoons, that could be a little bit hazardous there, as we're looking at potentially lightning, windy conditions mixed with our dry land. Right now, 4th of July, 1 week out, we're looking at the mid 90s.
All right, it's a big night for soccer fans in Southern Idaho. In less than now 4 hours, Boise Pro Soccer will unveil the name of the team, along with the team crest and team colors. And they're going to be doing that at a launch party at Expo Idaho in Garden City. And that's where we find Brady Frederick getting ready for tonight's big announcement. Hi, Brady.
Hey, Brian, I know you're real excited to get down here, and it's going to be a really fun event. You can kind of see the setup going on behind me. They've got bounce houses. They've got little soccer fields. There's going to be tons of fun for the entire family, food, trucks, drinks, everything. And for the rabid soccer fan base that we have here in the Treasure Valley, people who come out tonight are going to be able to say they were here from the very beginning. I know a lot of fans are excited for the reveal of the crest, the logo, the team name, so they know who they're going to be cheering for, the color scheme, so they know what they should be wearing to the games out next March when competition really begins, and all that's going to be revealed tonight. It's really going to be a ton of fun, a great atmosphere, and it is finally starting to cool off a little bit. Of course, we're going to be with you the entire step of the way. If you can't make it out to Expo Idaho tonight, we have a live special where we're going to be talking with the ownership group. We're going to be talking with fans around the Treasure Valley of what soccer means to this community. And of course, we're going to be telling you what this new team looks like and what it can bring to the Treasure Valley. So stick with us, and we'll keep you updated a little bit later on tonight on the news at 6.
The visit lasted just 30 minutes, but reinforced what most already believed.
I'm proud of what I did. I'd go back if I had to do it.
You would? That says a lot.
Yeah. If there was anything I could change, finish the job. That's all. Don't go in and have 58,583 guys get killed for nothing. I think the wall is an apex of heroes. That's it. It's that simple.
Well, on Wednesday this week, we brought you the story of nearly 24 Vietnam veterans from the Treasure Valley who returned on an honor flight to Washington, D.C. Returned from an honor flight, I should say. Obviously, they were moved by their visit to the Vietnam War Memorial. But they were just as moved by the welcome home they received at the Boise airport, a welcome they never received at the end of their service overseas 5 decades ago. Many of you were as moved as well. So we wanted to share some of the messages we didn't have time to share on Wednesday, like this one from Debbie, who told us she was thrilled for the Vietnam vets who got to see the memorial in D.C. and got the welcome home they never received when the war ended. Quote, "I only wish my brother had lived long enough to see that his service was finally acknowledged and appreciated. Unfortunately, he and many of his fellow veterans have passed away without that appreciation. May the United States of America, I should say, never do that to our veterans again. God bless every veteran." Cecil in Meridian typed her message through tears. She says, "My sweet husband was a Vietnam vet who died of complications from Alzheimer's in 2015. The stories that filled his life those last couple of years were about his Vietnam buddies and the way they were shunned when they came home." She says, "Thank you for a story of healing." Meanwhile, I haven't been to the Vietnam Memorial in D.C., Cheryl and Starr told us, but I have seen the version that travels the country. It's an extremely moving sight. I can only imagine what it means to the veterans. And finally, Deborah in Meridian, well, she's been to the D.C. wall, and she's seen the traveling wall here in Boise as well. She said, "My Bora high school classmate's name is on that wall." And she wants to say thank you for your military service to everybody. And again, we appreciate everybody sending in those messages to that. And of course, we thank everyone who went on that honor flight and all Vietnam veterans, of which we're losing 500 a day. Keep that in mind. We appreciate their service as well. As for today's stories, let's get to some of those comments from today. This one from Phyllis Brown and Eagle. Same-sex marriage is not just acting out an ideology. It's a marriage based on love and devotion, just like anyone else. And Sean says the black rodeo that we showed you, the story from Oregon, Portland, says it's long and overdue. Meanwhile, Kurt and Eagle, thank you for showing the 8 Seconds rodeo. As a former event promoter, I found the story inspiring and very interesting, and it was, and we appreciate that as well. Remember, we have a live release tonight, an announcement on Boise Pro Soccer. The team name, their colors, their crest, that's coming up at 9 right here on KTVB and KTVB Plus. We'll bring it to you live. Hope you can join us. If you can't, watch it here. We'll see you tomorrow, Monday.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.